They're the best Macca's burgers ever.
Welcome back. Welcome, Rusty.
Hey,
Are those golf pants?
they could be.
They could
They
be.
very easily could be. They're not, but I feel like you've just found a second purpose for them.
Do you play golf?
I do play golf. I really enjoy golf, actually.
I've started playing golf recently because one of my friends, it's literally the only thing he talks about to the point that it's damaging his relationships with everyone around him because we'll occasionally play.
Right.
I don't have golf pants though.
Right.
Can I borrow your pants?
You can.
Good stuff.
But only when you're playing golf. How old were you when you started playing?
Okay, so I played when I was 11,
Yeah.
and then I had golf lessons and everything, but then I stopped playing when I was 13 or 14, and then I started playing again this year.
Okay, so we're almost identical, and I'll tell you why I bring this up. Is the reason that I started playing golf the first time ever was that my bike got stolen. And I know it's weird. My father-in-law at the time rode my bike to the football club and didn't lock it up. So he came back the next day, it was gone, and I was like, this is not okay. You stole my bike. How am I going to get to school? And he's like, I'll make it up to you, and bought me a full set of graphite clubs.
That's why
It's like, I walked to school, but I had some sick golf clubs. So
why would he not have just bought a bike?
I don't know. I legitimately don't know.
You could have got a cheaper bike than
Yeah.
the golf clubs.
Yep. I think he wanted me to play golf.
You think?
So I did.
Either that or he's some sort of sports criminal and they fell off the back of a truck and he needed to get rid of them fast.
Maybe.
You got hot clubs.
I might have.
Speaking of hot clubs, there he is.
Man.
What was the tongue? That was weird. Ejim's watching. Bryce is watching.
He is watching.
We do hope you're feeling better. And in chat, he just screamed out, "Spirally ones are the best" when we were talking about pasta.
Oh.
So there you go. So it's nice that he can think about food at a time like this, even though he also said, when I said, "How are you?" he said, "I'm watching on my phone in the bathroom." So, that's good information. I'm pregnant with questions.
They were ready.
That
was very
They
ready.
were so ready because they were like, you know what? We're not going to get caught out again. We're going to come in hot. Hock U10 says, without regard to the historic problems with super teams and esports, how would you build an O super team that would be able to compete and make an impressive run at an international level? And then they had follow-up question, what would your approach be to win the block? So let's break this down and do the first part first. A super team?
Yeah.
I mean, we've kind of been doing that a bit, right?
So the question is specifically, how would you build a super team to win an international, assuming that no matter what the issues are, that everyone's perfect? So that question to me is faulty, and that you just pick the 5 best players in each role, and there's no problems.
So who would you pick?
So now it's a different question. Who's the best in each role?
Weirdly enough, sorry, you go.
I was going to say, I think that you can't ignore the
Yeah,
personality things, right? That's why the Bombers worked, whilst maybe Order the year before, even though you're very similar strength rosters didn't.
Yeah, there is the synergy question.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, Ashley emailed in, someone else, and basically asked the same question, but then provided examples and reasons why they thought that the team would synergize. Top, Mimic, and then jungle would be Raze or Spooks, mid, Triple, ADC, Raze, and support, Ayla. Triple because he has proven his ability to perform on an international stage. Raze, as I think he's the best option in the OPL. Ayla to keep synergy. Mimic, as he is the strongest carry top laner we have, and Raze and Spooks as jungler. Spooks has experience playing international, and Raze used to play in LCK. Both offer different playstyles.
So to go through the team again, it is Mimic, Raze.
Mimic, Raze, Spooks, Triple, second Raze, ADC Raze, and then Ayla.
First of all, can't work because there's too many Razes.
That's true. You would
With 2 Koreans, that's already confusing.
Could you force a name change?
Yeah, you could.
Could you add a number on the
You
end?
could probably rename one of the Rays to Elevate.
Oh, that's nice.
Maybe that could work. No, I actually think that is a really good comp.
That's a good team.
Off the top of my head, is there someone better in any of those roles? I think there's an argument for maybe. Well, first of all, Raze is very good, but I don't know
Which
how.
one?
jungle race,
Yep.
elevate is really good, but I'm not sure how he would work with a different team. I think there's been proof now that he could be the best in role, given their success with Corporal now playing, not Totoro. As at first I thought that maybe it was just those two working like brilliantly together.
Yeah.
Ayla being new to the role, I think keeping him for the sake of synergy with Raze is valid. And do you think there's someone better in the support role, like best in role, Spawn?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I certainly think Ayla is a good support, but I think it depends. Like, this is where it comes, like, how you want to play. You want to play heavy engage style. Destiny is the best support in the league, I think. And if you want to play heavy peel style, I think Jake is actually the best peeling support we have. Like, very meta dependent as well. Support generally is as a role. I also think that at the moment, like, giving it to triple over Ryoma is real risky.
Yeah.
Because I actually think triple and Ryoma used to have kind of the same things. They were kind of ice and fire. Ryoma very explosive, triple very much like the controller pace of the game. But I think Ryoma can actually do that now. So I just think Tommy is hands down like the complete package. And, I would say that you have to probably prioritize him. They're the two roles that I have the biggest questions about. I think Mimic's kind of undisputed at the moment.
For sure.
I think Jungle is, everyone has opinion on Junglers. I really like Raze as well. And then Quinny K, like to not do the same thing, is like a freak show. Like every single part of his game is awesome.
And as we mentioned, there is the whole synergy question. Super teams in most sports generally fall apart because you just got too many big personalities. Building any team, you're often building around a player or two. But Jake, you have put together a super team with order. What considerations did you have going into that?
So my thing is actually OS super teams are like the different beast to like traditional sports super teams. The reason traditional sports super teams don't work is like because of the personality issue. The reason OS super teams don't work is because they get very negative. And the Bombers were talking about that. Mammoth have talked about that. And I have first-hand experience with it. When you've got the best players in every role, as I supposedly did, as Bombers, did prove in the end, and as Mammoth hope that they now do, if it goes wrong, like the sky is falling. Like you lose one game because you're supposed to 100% the season with a super team.
Yeah.
Like you're supposed to be able to like whoop everyone's ass. You're supposed to be able to clean sweep finals. Like you're supposed to be able to turret dive. Like winning a game in 30 minutes isn't good enough. Like why aren't we winning 24 minutes? And like as soon as you start losing scrims and stuff, like it gets very negative and it gets a very heavy environment. So what we changed this year was we just brought more positive people in. Like, Jake is so positive, like my support player.
He has a tattoo of a dog.
Yeah, is a very positive player. I think that's one of the benefits of Rusty's team as well. They have, like, a lot of fun while they play the game, and they play a lot of the stuff they enjoy, right? And we've heard Mammoth speak about it, but you have to enjoy the game, because otherwise you start getting worse. And I think that's a big difference in Mammoth's split so far as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, for me, like, and speaking towards AV as well, the addition of Midu to the team has been wonderful for AV because he is... First of all, English is not his first language. He has a very broken English.
But he's trying
currently.
so hard, and it's adorable.
But he loves it. Like he speaks in a way like Twitch chat would communicate in a second language, like just in memes. Like he now calls Krugs Kruggy boys because that's what myself and Chippies have called them, I think, once.
Yep.
And like, he thinks they're now called Kruggy boys. That's just amazing.
Doesn't he also just say, keep it down, boys, and he just thinks that's like good night or like I'm leaving?
So when Chippies goes to bed, he shares a wall with 3 of the PCs. So when he was going to bed, when Midu first came, he was like, all right, boys, keep it down. I'm going to bed now. And everyone was like, yeah, no worries, Chippies. And then when Midu started going to bed, and he shares a completely different wall, he's like, all right, boys, keep it down.
It's brilliant.
Go to bed.
I love it.
So he can't help it. He's just adopted other words into his own language.
There you go. So good personalities. Look, excellent answers all around. The next question, how would you win at the block, Jake?
Me and you. I'm convinced we could have a crack.
I reckon we could. Have you, I have no Reno, but I do know Lux Design. So can you Reno a place and I'll just like theme it?
Well, the funny thing is, Jenna, I hope you're not watching. These hands are not made for manual labor.
Yeah.
I work hard so I can pay other people to do my labor for me. So we would be kind of like one of those hopeless couples.
Oh, yeah.
Where we would design really cool stuff, but always go over budget because we can't do anything ourselves.
We'd be like those cool surfer boys where it's like, we don't know what we're doing, but we're just here to have fun. Mm-hmm. What's your approach?
I was thinking about this, and I don't know a whole lot about the block. I don't watch TV. I know the concept of the block.
Home Reno show for those of you who don't know.
Not the details.
Yeah.
So I was thinking that like if I was to take someone and be like a partner duo to win the block, I would grab Frost Gurin because first of all, she has a really good taste for design, but her partner's an interior designer, like professional, and it's just fantastic. I was like, really, why am I here? I should have just got Frosk and her partner to win for me. So now I'm basically spawned at another level.
But I think you have to be there because I think they need at least one Australian citizen on the show because
Right.
it's an Australian show.
Then
so
there
that
is value.
You're the in there.
What are you doing,
it.
Pulse?
That's a good move.
Huh?
What are you doing?
I didn't know what it was until like 5 seconds ago when Nick Boy told me. But I don't know. I think I'll just go crazy, right? Because you get to do anything on this show, right?
Yeah,
Like,
you do.
Do you
You
have
have a
an
budget?
unlimited budget?
No, you do
No.
have
No.
a set
You have a
budget.
set budget?
Yeah.
What
But
are
you
the
can
budgets that
design
you like?
whatever you want.
Whatever you... Wow. I don't know what I would make. There's too much freedom.
Feature walls.
I
Yeah.
would say like you play to your strength and just like design an anime castle.
That's what I was thinking, right?
And like it's a point of difference. I would just go for the Lux design because they always win. You just want a really clear design. You don't, like people who buy these places that are all made by mostly not professionals just want the prestige of owning that kind of apartment. They want gold taps and black feature walls. So yeah, just go for that. Michael Hill. Hey guys, my question is: if you would create a brand new LOL team, what would you name the team?
Order.
Brand
did
new,
this.
or are you?
I
or are you-
literally did it.
Or are you blowing it up and starting again?
I mean, it's just no point. The disorder. No.
Good.
Chaos.
Chaos. No, I always said that I'll go after a weather pattern.
A weather pattern.
like
so-
Stratos.
Yeah, something like
Yeah.
that.
Cumulus.
Yeah.
Cumulonimbus.
Yep.
Yeah, something like that. Like, legitimately. I think weather's cool.
Weather is cool.
is. I was thinking Roman or Greek, like terminology for things. So they just have cool names. Like surely there is a word out there in one of those languages that would just sound like badass.
Decimation. Do you know what
Obelix.
decimation is?
Decimation.
The punishment?
Yeah.
Oh, is this one of your torture podcasts?
So decimation is when
Oh,
if a
God.
Roman centurion was a legionary was accused of cowardice, like as in like the whole group, the commanders would line them up in groups of 10 and they would all pull straws, and the person with the shortest straw would be beaten to death by the rest of their
Yeah. It
army comrades.
Wow.
was actually in Spartacus.
Why are you
I watched
smiling?
that in Spartacus.
I mean, it's just a fun fact.
It's really not. Lady Dubsy says Omega. Nav says Matrix. Nav then also says Zephyr. And then Fairy says History Lesson. Spartans. Simplicity is the best route for a name, and they've capitalized the S. So I think that they want to be called Simplicity, which I feel like could backfire. You don't want a name that could backfire in like
Well,
a
yeah.
scenario where it's like you're not doing too well, and then it's suddenly like, well, they certainly did play simple.
That's the thing as well. Simplicity isn't the most simple way to be named. They just be called simple.
Yeah, that's no good.
You've kind of gone against yourself by naming rights there.
I'd name it after our fallen comrade Bryce. I'd call it the Toilet Hug.
Positive Pauls.
Positive. Oh, okay, that's good too. Positive Pauls is nice. We should name teams after people. That's definitely what we should do. Final question before we get into the next game. General Roy, how do I convince my mum, thanks for the parent question, to let me get more reptiles? I currently have 2 bearded dragons, 1 rosy boa, a leopard gecko, and now I'm going to adopt a baby cinnamon ball python.
So
I'm
you
convinced
are.
half of these are not real animals.
So he is going to adopt one anyway. So, like, is the goal to have just too many?
Well, I
So-
think he wants to, right?
So you got the dragons, the rosy boa, and the leopard gecko. Going to get the python, and I think the mum is probably God. The python is the end.
Okay.
The madness has to stop. The last one took your baby sister. This is Australia. That's just what our animals do. How do we get around the mum?
Well, you could make up a fact. And I think that this is the easiest way to do it. You go, Mum, this python that we're getting
Yep.
has to be with another python.
That's a good
or
one.
it eats everything around it.
That's a good one.
Like, this is just, it is a fact. I've read it. I've watched David Attenborough. I'm pretty sure he said it. Like, this is just, we need a second one.
I know someone who does a killer David Attenborough. I could fake up a documentary for you, clip if you want. Jake,
I watched a documentary recently.
was it about beating men to death?
It was about a man, and he went to New York with a briefcase, and he had lots of creatures in it. So I think what you need, from what I saw in that documentary, is a good briefcase. Because I have it on good authority that those things are massive, and you can keep so much shit in it. So, like, I'm really confident with a
Doesn't dirty
good
the house?
briefcase.
Yeah.
You live in that briefcase from what I've seen.
Yeah, right.
It's a pretty impressive briefcase, so go get that briefcase.
That's a good call. So Jake said put his number 2. Rusty, your advice is probably the best, that this boa constrictor needs a friend or it does terrible things. And if neither of those work, just stick the boa constrictor on your mum. And then, like, problem solved. All right, it's time for game number 3, the Macca's Champ Select with Jake and Pulse.
All right.
How would you do it?
How would I do it?
Yeah.
I would say it was for protection, right?
Ooh.
Because imagine walking around with a python on a leash. No one's going to screw with you.
That's true.
Yeah.
Except for maybe the python. It's on the leash.
But I assume you've trained the python at this point. I don't know how trainable reptiles are.
Yeah, my favorite wrestler was Jake the Snake Roberts when I was a kid.
Jake the Snake?
Yeah, he used to bring out a python in a bag, and then, like, he would throw it on, like, the person he was wrestling.
Wow.
Yeah. That's
Was
intimidating,
it a real
right?
python?
Yeah, it was real.
Jesus.
I used to love the WWF. Whatever happened to it? Wild as
Bring it
tide.
back. Yeah. I feel like we need a tier list of yawns in the OPL, because I think as the split goes on, we've had some pretty impressive ones.
Yeah, some good fly catchers out there. They really do unhinge the jaw. Some hippo action going on.
Maybe they've owned a python. Maybe it's just, copying that. Anyway, let's get into this game. Bombers versus Mammoth into Champion Select. Azia and Jace bands coming out here with Irelia and Karma on the bench for Mammoth.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe a couple of old school bands here from Mammoth. You know, the Aurelia hasn't really seen all that much success recently in the OPL, and Karma has started to get tapped down. As Rusty said, next patch probably going to be the last of it. And this is just some good old control mages being thrown at triple. So Ryoma trying to give himself some protection, it looks like, in this draft pulse.
Yeah, it looks like Corki final ban there towards Mammoth, and I've seen Ryoma's basically just had a Kali ban against him in every game.
Yep.
The last, I would say, 2 or 3 now. See if Mammoth follows suit.
Well, it's funny, right? Because Akali is one of those champions that does so much damage if you hit everything. Like, if you're able to energy manage well, shroud manage well, and actually land your skill shots, like, her damage is just theoretically off the chart.
Right.
And yet, it's so missable. Like, it really is just so missable. And we'll be able to see, again, the fact that Ryoma generally gets towards the higher part of that theoretical DPS.
Yeah, I mean, it's when you have those champions that are just very much focused on having someone who can pilot it well, and they just become that player who you just have to respect that they could come out, right?
It was like old school Zed. Like, now Zed isn't seen as, like, the highest skills cap champion, but Triple Shuriken was, like, such a hard thing to hit.
it went from E-Max, and then E got nerfed, and then you had to go Q-Max.
Yeah, and when that happened, I remember Choo-Choo's used to play a lot into Swiffer, and it was just like, if you can hit the triple with the Ignite, like, it's just a one-hit kill. Like, there is literally no counterplay early on in the game, so it's just one of those champions where I feel like Akali certainly in that category, where if you're an Akali player, which I tried to be, it went as far as to get a tattooed on me, then it's very successful. But if you're not a Akali player, kind of just sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's been a lot of those champions in history. You know, I think back to when I was casting years ago in EU, when Freeze was like the only Draven player. He'd be like, we would just ban this every single game, and you would see like 18 games in a row just banned because it's like I don't want to deal with it. Yeah,
Bleed Draven, if you could catch axes, was like obnoxious. But if you could pull him off like one axe, his DPS just like fell off a cliff.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, Freeze was really good at it, and he was also one of the first players I ever saw like stand aside Alistair combos like religiously in those lanes.
Right.
And like, it was just so impressive back then. It's like when you watch Insect do the original Insect, nowadays you're like, that looks so janky. And it's like, well, input buffering wasn't there.
Right.
Like, playing on different pings, the servers were really unstable. Like, that's insane. Like, kind of the similar thing. Like, nowadays, it's like, if you can't cancel, like, dashes with Draven, why are you playing the champion?
Right.
But when Freeze was doing it, I was like, people didn't even think about doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it was the same with Thresh as well. Flash, flay backwards, where you'd have to essentially just change your mouse position entirely. You know, these are the things that you really held pro players by in terms of, you know, core mechanics. But yeah. And I like that we still have champions like Akali nowadays, so you can say that, like, these are champions where you can really flex and be not necessarily a one-trick, but you are that player, you know, and something that you can respect as a signature champion.
And we've got a couple more in this game, because I feel like Ezreal is firmly in that category. Like, you either do so much damage on Ezreal or none, and he's such... Now that I love the change to the W, because it means you have to be able to E aggressively forward in laning phase to actually be able to proc your maximum damage, which gives you windows to punish him. Because when the old W was like the max ability, you used to go through creeps, used to slow your attack speed, you just couldn't trade with him. Lux is also one of those champions, in my opinion, because her shield is so huge if you can land it across multiple members in team fights, but it's such a non-intuitive spell to use if you're not a Lux player. In the middle of a team fight, you're throwing binds forward at the enemy to be able to turn around and throw like the correct angle on your shield.
And then maneuver at the same time,
It's actually really impressive to watch good Lux players. So that's why I think the meta is more fun now. Because we have so many of these champions now available where it is like, you can do everything or nothing with this pick depending on how you play it.
And it just creates those big highlight moments as well, you know, which I feel like when you had a very watered down meta where it's just like we pick tank here, and then we go head to head and we see who has the better combat stats and they win the game. But yeah, we've had a couple picks coming through. I mean, Lucian, also a big playmaking pick. Vladimir on the side for Mammoth, also Yuumi alongside that Ezreal. Olaf makes his way through the bans into the jungle.
Ooh.
And this could be our first here. We already had our first Mordekaiser come into the top lane earlier by Pabu.
If anyone was going to play it, it would be Ryoma as well. Like, already a Kali locked in, but that could be Mimic's champion.
Yeah, to be honest, Mimic is also one of those players.
Yep, certainly could be the case, but that's an interesting pick. Skarner into Olaf. This is a pick that has kind of evolved over time, where historically Olaf was the counter to Skarner because of the ultimate.
Right.
But then when Spires and things were added and the attack speed went up a lot on them, it was like, well, Skarner's the only person that can clear as fast as Olaf. So even though we can't ult the guy, like, it's still a good pick because you can at least maintain tempo on him and like actually meet him around areas on the map. And this is the second time we've seen this out of Mimic polls, going towards a blind Gnar, which in my opinion in the current meta is such a punishable champion.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, in the top lane, like, there are many things that can be picked into, and I think it would do very well. Nico being one of them, for example. But yeah, there are many picks. Like, you know, I look towards Norelia, maybe even a Camille here as well.
Yasuo
by Fudge. I mean, Yasuo was the old school counter to Gnar in the top
Lucian
lane.
was like, even though it's locked in here, like, I know lots of people like to play Lucian into Gnar. There's just like, and I mean, even things like Rumble just don't have horrible matchups into him anymore. With Witsen's Rush, it's like not great, but Rumble is one of those champions that if you can just get a free lane, like, I mean, we saw it yesterday when Praparaz was playing it. Like, the ultimate is unparalleled in terms of DPS, right? So there's just so many picks right now that I feel like can go into Gnar. So it's really interesting that Mimic, who we sing the praise of all the time, is defaulting towards this champion as his blind pick.
Yeah, I will say that like the skill of Mimic, I think, can overcome some of the limitations that Gnar has as a champion, right? And like, you can always leave him on an island and know that he's going to get out of laning phase with a good amount of fun. We'll be able to play into essentially anything, especially with a lot of the bans that we saw coming through here. Like, there's not going to be an Aurelia just charging at you at level 1. So he will do okay against the Camille, but especially when you have a matchup like this in the jungle, I feel like this will be almost an uninteractive lane in the top lane now.
Yeah, it certainly could be. And this lane comes down to who uses their E first.
Yeah.
If Camille can hit you with a leg sweep and just walk at you, you're stuffed as Gnar. Like, there's absolutely nothing you can do. However, if she ever E's and you can hop the E, you can kite out a Camille really effectively, especially pre-level 6, right? So I feel like this is one of those matchups. I really like matchups like this where the better player should get ahead. And I'm really interested to see how Fudge, who is a player that I was just so excited about coming into the OPL, is able to go up against, you know, one of the best top laners we've ever seen in the region. Because I think a lot of people, especially one of the men sitting next to me right now, expected Fudge to come into the OPL and really make a huge splash.
And that man is Fantix from Mammoth. How are you doing today?
Yeah, good, thank you.
So talk to me about the top lane matchup. Fudge versus Mimic, Camille into Gnar. How do you see this one going?
This one's it's pretty even. Most of the time I'd say this is just the better player wins one. But of course, the jungle role exists, so that's going to be probably the main influence in this matchup.
And we've seen a lot of different games this week and teams feeling out, I think, very different strategies. We saw the first Mord last game. Do you think this is a result of the week break and kind of not much League of Legends happening?
Definitely. It definitely contributed to it. I think also it feels to me like there was a couple of teams that I think the OPL kind of divided in half with like scrim metas in the break. That's why like there's just such a big variance in like the comps we're seeing this week. Some teams like Mord, some teams don't like it. Some teams have counters to it. Some teams don't care. And yeah, that's we've definitely fallen into the we don't care as much about it as most other teams, as you can see.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cupcake, one of your old teammates.
Not my old teammate.
Oh, wasn't he? Did you never play with him?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, he joined as I left.
Okay.
So.
But just came out of retirement. Had a pretty impressive performance. Triple, need to be a little bit nervous, or are you going to stay in the retirement chamber?
Look, all I'm going to say is if I do play, it's not going to be mid. So
You playing top again?
Well, we'll have to see.
Do you know, fun fact for you.
Yeah.
I've known Richard for a very long time. I always was like, dude, just become a top laner and play with Swiffer. Like, it'll be so much fun. And he always denied me until he literally retired. I haven't made you play top lane at Origin.
You did.
Was
you
that the
did.
turning point in the career?
That was a fun point actually. I actually enjoyed that tournament quite a bit. Yeah, but definitely not mid lane.
And I want to get your take on a question we had in Nick Bag, where one of the viewers asked, like, how do you build a super team? Now, obviously, you've tried to do this here with Mammoth, right? You've got a very talented 5-man roster. What are your lessons for people at home of, like, what were the things that you kind of didn't know at the start that now, you know, half a year into this journey, you now know?
That's actually a difficult question to answer. I'd say, I mean, historically throughout any professional like sport or anything, there's never been a super team that was successful like with like 5 like star players, right? You always got to have, you know, like a foundation and then like a good balance of playmakers as well. So we have in this lineup, of course, we've got like veterans and young blood, and I think it's always you always got to find that balance. It's never like too many of one or the other.
All right, cool.
All right. Well, thank you so much for the interview, and best of luck in the game.
Thank you.
As you can tell, I really liked talking to Fantix. I've always thought that like Fantix was one of the smartest people in the Oceanic region, and like mechanically was a freak show when he played. Like used to go by perfection like back in the day, and really was pretty close to being one of those players. And I think done a really good job as a coach. I think he came into the job and certainly had some growing areas, but as you can see from his team now being top of the table, like he has really taken on that challenge and learned a lot. And I think Mammoth really lucky org to have someone like Fantix on board.
Proof is in the pudding, right? And I mean, not everybody transitions into, you know, coaching, or everyone goes in a different route, right? Like, do you disappear, do you come back into pro play, do you become a caster, right? Yeah, those skill sets definitely add up, and you can see here. I'm doing pretty well in the early game. Went for an early red buff invade, managed to pick that one up. A similar thing happened for the bombers, though. Took away the blue buff from Mammoth's side. It's just been a whole lot of farming so far. You can see Ryoma in the mid lane up against this Vladimir, and having a pretty good time in terms of farms. Big wave about to crash into triple, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, just use the E aggressively forward there, looking for as much harass as possible. Interesting thing to note about this matchup is Morellonomicon is a long way away for an Akali. So you have to run teleport. Sorry, ignite. And she normally does prefer to run the teleport because she's such a good split pusher late game. So I wonder how this changes up like the strategic game plan of the Bombers, because they are a very good 1-3-1 team. Whereas with the ignite, maybe that's not as possible, especially given Spellbook is being run from Vlad. So like, you know, if there is a teleport mismatch, Vlad can maybe, you know, isolate into something like the Gnar and try and start bullying around in that mid game just through, you know, better lane assignments.
Yeah, we're looking towards the bottom lane as well. Yuumi has just attached herself to the AD carry, and may or may not be AFK. But we'll just be firing this one out into the bottom lane. Looking towards the top lane, though, we actually have a pretty reasonable CS advantage here for Mimic, and I don't believe either jungler has actually impacted the top lane just yet. And you heard from Vantix, like, this is better player wins, and I definitely agree. We talked about, like, the E interactions, and that was an E missing from Fudge, so that's a heavy punch, because if you jump in, you don't hit the Gnar, then immediately he locks on with a Hyper Procs, and once he hits 3, he'll just run you down back to turret, which is why being in a side lane, like, you can only really go for this if you're closer to your tower, because if that's at Mimic's tower, he just kills you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, really interestingly here was Fudge actually sent Mimic back first with a really great base. And then he took so much punish, and Mimic has gone with the sword shield combo of the Dorians, and they're just so much more gold efficient at this stage of the game. Obviously, when the team mat comes through, Fudge is going to be effectively, you know, 900-ish gold up. But until that does, Mimic is going to use his superior laning items to start creating that big advantage in the top lane.
Yeah, it's about how much of a gap he can really create between that time. Going towards the mid lane again. So it's farming it on up. Actually, first back has come in from the triples, picked up the needlessly large rod. And yeah, you can see just it's going to be a rough time for Fudge. Actually, does have the jungler coming into lane through the tower here.
Has the boots pick up as well.
Yeah,
so
6 has been hit by Gnar, and he's about to hit Rage, so it's a little bit of an awkward timing.
Yeah, I was going to say, with boots, even though it's not going to be the Predator, the fact that Mimic doesn't have any, you know, level 6 going to be there for Fudge, you can just lock him down. Should be Olaf getting there quickly enough that he can start impacting it. I wonder if Babip's just going to throw an axe. He is. They're just going to get the experience and say, to hell with the CS.
Yeah, level 6 has been picked up by Fudge here, and Mimic is now exhausted, so he has to play away from this wave, so it's essentially free for
this is
Babip
freezable,
to walk in, yeah.
Interesting call there from Babip. I think it's the right call, but I would have liked to see them walk it down the lane. Obviously, they don't know where Skarner is, so that's a very difficult ask. But as you can see, Mimic's just grabbed it, walked into the side lane brush, and pulled it. What pulling a lane means is if there are more than just the range creeps alive, it will stay on Mimic's side of the lane. And it means that Mimic's creeps will die quicker. That denies gold and experience away from Fudge. This is what you effectively call a freeze. Now, nowadays in League of Legends, it's impossible to permanently maintain a freeze unless you pull a ridiculously large wave. But what it is easy to do is Binding Hands.
Yeah, still pushing onto King. Exhaust comes down actually from the Yuumi.
I was going to say what you are able to do is you're able to use this to build up 3 waves in a long lane and generally 2 lanes mid, and then set up turret dives with like huge creep waves. Azkarna's now about to hit level 6. What I want to see from Mimic is build this wave up, get Wilder up into the top lane, and just dive Fudge, and that should be like top lane done.
Yeah. And you can see actually a pretty reasonable freeze actually still set by Mimic. It's not like the old days, because changes were made to the minions many seasons ago now, but theoretically you could just freeze a wave like if you took 2 towers, and that wave would just never come back to tower. Bottom lane again, aggressing onto King, flashes away, first blood goes over to Luch though, and now Destiny detaches, double kill coming in.
And you can see Rogue bouncing up and down in his chair. That is going to be Luch. And Rogue double killing King and Destiny. Most people in the league think that King and Destiny or Ayla and Raze are the 2 best bottom lanes. And Luch and Rogue has just outright styled on them.
And it almost felt like we didn't see the lead up to that, but I mean, just straight up punished into a double kill. Like, that should not happen in the 2 versus 2. And yes, even with the prestige there of the bottom lane, but double kill to Lucian no less, moves towards his first item.
Well, they kept pulling the lane. And this is what was happening, right, is they were just getting zoned off. We saw a binding before this hit. Out of the brush, another binding lands, and just the ability to go aggressive. Burn the flashes, just get in their face. Lucian's damage at this stage of the game is so ridiculously high. And that's really nicely done.
Yeah, just hit a 6-spike, full culling onto the Yuumi as well. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Rogue just saying, hello, here's a shield. A little bit difficult for triple, but early double kill for the Lucian is massive. And you can see already both big components completed his first item. Feeling very good in this bottom lane.
And now it gets to the point where, like, can you even 2v1 him? Because he just has so much damage that he can pump straight into you. Also very interesting that he's going for Essence Reaver over the Blade of the Ruined King as his first item. The general build that you see at the moment is Bork into Essence Reaver into something like an Infinity Edge or maybe a Zeal item if you want it. This means, in my head, that he's just really, really confident in the lane because Blade of the Ruined King's like unparalleled in getting through the lane as Lucian. But Essence Reaver does do like a lot of solid mid-game damage.
Yeah, he will hit very hard, and at the very least, he's very much accelerated towards that mid-game, so we'll be able to pretty much get over that hump that Lucian typically hits.
And if we take a look top lane real quickly, that's exactly what I was talking about. So Mimic's just crashed about 5 creeps into that turret, enough for Nah to take a turret plating, which in Mega form is really rare, right? And you could see that Wilder on that wave actually had pathed up and was in the tri-brush. He's now got control to be able to start up something like a Rift Herald, however, enemies heading into the area. So this is where, when you're talking to your jungler, if you're like at home and you're like, you know, Diamond or something like that, trying to get better, Mimic won't be able to pick up a solo kill. These are the kind of things that you need to be able to do. You know, that was a play that was called 2 minutes in advance, and I know Mimic would be communicating when that wave is going to crash exactly.
It's just those small things, yeah. I mean, that's why we question not pushing the wave all the way to tower if you're going to commit the time in the first place. In the bottom lane, missing the combo there, but King still taking a lot of damage from this culling. In comes Yuumi, but still half-healthing the Ezreal here.
And I mean, if that Lux ultimate had have landed there, one auto attack, he's nearly in kill threat range. Fudge is
risky from Fudge. I mean, yes, he had the passive, but it will be walked down by Mimic. Follows up with the wall, dodges it though with the ultimatum. It will be enough to turn this into a 1-for-1 trade.
Yeah, really nicely done from Fudge there, because he was dead to all rights, but able to outplay Young Mechanical Man and just be able to pick up the 1-for-1. But you can see that top lane is getting very rough. 20 CS now, the margin, as well as the solo kill.
Yeah, if that Wallop had landed, it would have been Mimic probably just getting out high and dry, but not the case. Stalling out Luch, though, into the bottom lane, and Rogue is away from his partner. In comes 3 members onto the AD carry, and that will be the shutdown going over to Babip.
Yeah, great kill there from Babip. I mean, just really good vision. Sets that one up. Triple now.
Running away. Not even kill threat, though. Babip was here, but Rogue is also transitioning towards this mid lane. Still jumps forwards, though, looking for a little bit extra onto this Vladimir, but unless he's going for the all-in with the Ignite, will not be able to kill him.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, able to get out the ultimate for ultimate trade, means that there is just not that much kill threat in the lane now. Wave's going to be bouncing back and forward, but Wilder uses all of Mimic's priority and, you know, great laning phase so far to grab himself the Herald. Whereas Babip off that kill onto Luch, the shutdown, able to grab the dragon. So map looks like it's firmly split in half right now. But Mammoth, despite the top lane troubles and, you know, the bottom lane troubles, do have themselves a gold lead, which is really strange to me. You know, most of it must be in the jungle, but also a little bit in mid lane as well.
Yeah, and at the same time, it doesn't feel like they've actively played for it, right? And I feel like this is the same story of every Mammoth game that I watch. It's like they don't actively play for like a strong early game. You see the comebacks and the transitions into mid game almost by proxy of the way that they play, right?
Yep.
But yeah, to see them with a gold lead, even so slight, like it's even now, but even to be at this point for Mammoth is a change of pace.
Yeah, it certainly is, and I think when I have a look at this Mammoth team, that's the big difference, is they stopped trying to blow teams out of the water, and they just went back to playing the game.
Yep.
Right, and just taking it at face value. I was reading a Reddit thread. Oh, actually.
Full combo into the bottom side, and King walking back with Yuumi, but that was almost perfect time, perfect position for Rogue to literally double up on damage onto the Yuumi, detaching.
Yeah, that's a 3 summoner spells just burnt for an Ignite there, and a very nice ultimate from Rogue. Luch also was probably 5 seconds away from having a flash, and another double kill picked up there.
Good advanced ward in here from Mimic, so this gank will not happen through the lane from Babip. Still staying in place though. He doesn't know that Na knows. He's actually playing this quite coy.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually really nicely done from Mimic there. As Rift Herald is popped bottom lane, and Vladimir is down here.
Yeah, a bit of a strange happenstance to be honest. And yeah, Olaf will pop out of the brush, but in the bottom side he knows that the play is happening. Shelly was basically popped in front of the tower, so we'll just get one charge off and it will be plates there for bombers. But top side, yeah, Olaf has now backed away, and bit of a null trade there.
Yeah, it certainly was. A lot of time wasted, however, and you can see Mimic once again just holding a wave. That's going to be a mini freeze. It's certainly going to push back eventually. Ryoma also ducking into topside vision, just making sure that that Olaf isn't going to do anything with his blue buff. You know, it's the little things in League of Legends, just dips into Fog of War. That means Olaf can't face check the river anymore. Ryoma's got everything up and available. So this has been a pretty good early game from the Bombers, and they're a team that I've struggled to gauge the strength of. Because they've lost a couple of times against Order. They've had some really rough early games, but then they've had some terrific games against teams like Chiefs and Mammoth, and then stumbled at finish lines and not being able to close games out. Luch has looked very good. Then he's played strange things like Mages. I think he had himself a Nico game down bottom lane. So like they're just a very hard team to kind of get their power level right now. Yeah, in my opinion. Like, they could be great, but I just don't know whether they can do it consistently right now.
And I think from my, like, uneducated, like, just coming into the region, looking at, like, how Bombers are doing, looking at these players, like, there's very, like, they're, like, pop-off players, right? Look at Ryoma, and it's like, wow, that's a 10-0 game on his Akali. Same with Mimic. Like, you look at his Aatrox games, it's like, and he's just won the game for them. The same with the bot lane, I feel like. When they have these big moments, those are what swing it, but that also kind of pushes them towards being inconsistently consistent, right?
Yeah, and I can certainly agree with that, you know. Even historically, there have been players that if they get leads, they will carry, and if not, that they will try and make plays to generate their leads. Right. They don't really let the game come to them. They certainly are pace setters, so I can see how that could be the case for a team like the Bombers.
But there's like two options, right? It's either that or they're just a stylistic team who need to be against someone that they just trump in terms of style, right? Like that versus being a team who's just going to consistently win against lower the standing teams, it's going to be consistent against upper the standing teams, going to like lose, but maybe lose by a little bit. So it's either one of the two, and I would lean towards the former, but I don't know enough about the players to say it's one of the other.
Yeah, and I also feel like they're not really a team fight team, which I mean, I talk about this a lot, but in OS is really strange because we just have like a lot of team fight teams.
Right.
I feel like Ryoma does like try and play that heavy macro game. He does have the skill set that lends heavily towards it. He does still play things like Azir and Talia, right? So he can team fight. I'm not saying it's not like he can't, but he does make some stylistic choices to go away from that. And they do try and break up the map. And once again, when you try and buck the trend in a region, it either spectacularly works or spectacularly fails in game.
Bottom lane, once again, King under attack, and Wilder just charging towards him. We'll find him. Quick detach there from Destiny to try and help him out, but His AD carry is already dead. In comes the teleport
Everyone's
out
coming
from
in.
Mimic, and this is pushing towards a Gnar. Low on Rage though, Wilder buying some time with the stopwatch, but Babip and the Vladimir flashing forwards, looking for the Tides of Blood into the Sanguine pool. He's backing away, taking the tower shots. He will drop here. Wilder gonna fall on the backside, but in comes Ryoma looking for the cleanup now on the Akali. Perfect execution onto Fudge as well. 4 kills, looking for the 5th underneath the tower, ticking down for the Ignite. Fudge,
dead.
last tick, and there it is.
Yeah.
Ace at 17 minutes.
That's so well played from the Bombers. And that was a 4v5 pulse. I mean, that whole time, Ryoma's just walking his way down. You saw the big flash in play from Triple, and he just miscalculated the timing and damage. I mean, that one really hurts because this game looked like it was even, but it's a great gank from Wilder that sets it up, right? He's able to rip back the AD carry, and Destiny does the right thing, detaches and keeps himself safe. Calculated re-engage here, but I feel like Fudge has just gone too early and onto the wrong target. You have to do a spell check. You need to know who has stopwatches. It takes too long. It means that that's a solo turret dive as opposed to 3 members. And you can see the Wild on the backman was still alive. Like, he's only just fallen down. And it's going to be a clean ace. And this is why we praise Ryoma enough. Like, cool guys don't look at explosions. He knows his damage output. He knows Fudge is dead.
Yep.
And gets out of the range. Make sure there's no trade kill there.
That was a huge swing there for the Bombers. 3,500 gold. A lot of that going on to all the right places as well. Now Mammoth just, yeah, firmly on the back foot. You can see almost double item now completed by Luke. It's going to be a huge deal moving into this phase in the game where everyone's going to be grouping up looking for skirmishes, and this Lucian's going to be doing so much damage.
And people at home would be sitting there and saying, Pulse, but Ezreal has 2 items. But he doesn't. He has an item and a half. Until that transform comes out, that blue weird sword thing, as Ryoma going again.
Yeah, best of luck, Fudge. We'll get the passive shield, but we'll just wait it out, immediately go in. Ultimatum is issued. Laser is dodged as well on Fudge. Great mechanical play.
Yeah, it certainly was. Okay, so keeps himself alive again. That looked like it should have been another kill coming across, but very good use of that Hextech ultimatum, and Ryoma not wanting to use the flash to secure himself another kill, I think it's fair to say. Otherwise, he would have been able to pick that one up. And what I was saying is, until that Manamune is a Muramana,
Yep.
it's not really an item. It's kind of just a strange stat stick.
Yeah, it's just there to stack up, and yeah, on the opposite side, when you're looking towards, I mean, just a lot of AD and a champion who gets a lot of auto attacks out quickly. It's, yeah, different spikes on different champions at different times, and right now this is definitely benefiting the higher gold build. In comes Babip into the top lane here with Triple. Mimic low on Rage. Probably won't be the tower though, because the minion wave's about to dissipate. Jumping forwards. Mimic trading off. This is a lot of damage. We'll have to pull. Turns around with the Hemo plague. Yeah, Ryoma coming into the top lane. It will just be a bit of a trade there. Bottom side, Wilder will collect the dragon.
And they're just winning multiple areas of the map. You saw that very nice trade of, you know, ultimate just for health there for Triple. Now he has no ult. He can't really lane into the Akali because the Ignite's coming back up and available. That's going to be Spell Pen Boots as well as a needlessly large rod for Ryoma.
Yeah.
They still pick up the dragon bottom side of the map as well. This has been, you know, the Bombers, I think, showing some really significant growth.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it just looks more watertight, I think, you know,
Yep.
than general. I feel like there's almost one hole in the ship that's able to be exploited from the Bombers, but right here, Mimic is a brick wall in the top lane. There was a commitment of 2 or 3 players who are just unable to stop the Gnar. Now moving towards the bottom side, and you just have to be careful of Ryoma with massive vision control here coming up from the Bombers. You just don't know where these assassins are going to just appear and nuke you, so Carrier's having to play it safe as well in these side lanes.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see now whether this 1-3-1 style of the Bombers can take over the game, because I feel like Triple wants the side lane now for a while, right? He probably wants 3 items outright, wants himself a Death Cap, maybe wants himself a Banshee's Veil or a Zonya's Hourglass, something like that. So he's just going to be relegated to catching waves in the side lane and trying to not die against Akali. Fudge goes in.
Yeah, now this is the difficulty as Camille, when you're in a long lane without a tower and you're into Mimic, will transform and use the opportunity to try and jump away, but catches him on the brick right here. In comes Wilder onto the top side, and Fudge is just going to get chased down, smited to death.
And you can just see that they're using their priority over mid lane, which Lucian's just able to get with reckless abandon at the moment. And they're just dipping members into Fog of War. That means that the side lane's always under fire. Could have been Triple, but this time it was Fudge, and Triple now, 1v1.
Yeah, has the pull though. We'll be able to get a bit of health back off of the Hemo Plague.
Oh!
Ryoma turns around. It's one tap from both players. Both flash away. Babip coming in and unable to get in range even with that Cloud Dragon. So that was, I mean, to be honest, in this situation, when Akali's at this point in the game, the fact that Vladimir is to trade even is a big deal.
Yeah, it certainly is, especially given the fact that that was double summoner spells used from Tommy there. So Triple's actually won that trade. And he's going to get himself a free reset, going to get himself a shop on the back end of it as well. You're absolutely right. Like, that Akali is perfectly where she wants to be, and you know, that Vladimir still has some scaling to do. And I always say this, whenever Triple's playing Vlad, I feel like the game's on a clock. I feel like he will solo win you a game on this champion. And I've seen it from when he was on Avant Gaming, all the way into now his career in Mammoth. And this is a guy that just, I think, unparalleled on mid lane Vladimir in the region.
I mean, it's almost a story for both sides, right? Like, it's a Ryoma, like, signature pick into a signature pick.
And these guys have had some awesome battles over the years.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Sin Gaming versus Avant, when they were battling out for, you know, 3rd, 4th, and they had some crazy best of 5s. I think in the 4th versus 5th match in 2016, they went to 5 games, like both of those series. And Sin Gaming able to edge them out both times, but Triple at times was like dragging the whole of Avant Gaming, kicking and screaming over that line.
So that star power in the end was sometimes just, yeah, as you said, able to just push you that little bit further. And in this game, definitely going toe-to-toe once again. About 23 minutes into this one. Slowed down significantly. Just have been a couple tussles in the side lane, but looking more towards those items because now the Muramasa, Mana Moon into Muramana.
I don't know my Japanese swords all that well. I feel like you would know your Japanese swords.
Yeah, I don't know everything about Japan. As in the top lane, Vladimir goes into the Sanguine Pool. Once again, Ryoma following through with the perfect execution, but that is so much health back out from the Vlad. Did not respect that without the Ignite here. In comes Wilder, trying to get that pick, but I think he just flashed on top of Olaf while he was ulting.
He certainly did.
Yeah.
Now Rogue might be caught out here. You see that they've actually left King in the mid lane, so they don't want to fight anymore. They just want to be able to corral them away from the objective. King should be able to take this mid lane tower for free.
And King is just having a great time. While all that was happening, he was just hitting the turret. Rogue will come in alongside Luch, but mis-execution. You know, contrary to the ultimate of Kali, unfortunately, Wilder flashing forwards with Impale onto an ulting Olaf. Roman not respecting the health back you get from the Sanguine Rush and also the ultimate coming in from Triple. And that's all of his health.
Yeah, and I think there was also just Yumi jumping on there for a little bit of extra bonus health as well. And I think that the idea was if I get him low enough, he's not going to be able to turn around and fight, right? But that wasn't the case. And now Mammoth, who were 3,000 gold down, have taken top lane turret. They've, like, mid lane turret is a sneeze away from going down as well. So they've got themselves in this position where the game looked almost done on that bottom lane play, but they're only 2,500 gold down.
Yeah, which, I mean, if you're in the Mammoth camp, feeling pretty good about it. Wilder getting caught out, question mark, because here comes the rest of the team. King over the wall. Olaf popping the ultimate once again, turning on to this Skarner, but in comes Triple. Oh my god, Luch just disappears from the map. His support goes down as well, and Wilder just playing dodgeball right now, but he will not be able to dodge the tracking projectile from Destiny. 3 kills to Mammoth.
And that should just be Baron. Mammoth are just going to be able to push up this mid lane wave, get all the vision they need as soon as they see Akali show. Should just be the Baron. Ryoma goes in again.
This is risky from Ryoma. Mimic also there, but he's going to get blown up. Mimic looking for the transform, dodges out the projectile from the Ezreal, but, I mean, Bomber's just walking to the slaughter.
They certainly are, and I mean, that was a 3-man unit looking for a catch, but when you're playing 1-3-1, all your job is as a 3-man unit is to clear mid lane wave. It is to never look for fights. It's all about the wings collapsing. I feel like the Chiefs showed us how to do it beautifully yesterday. That is a textbook example of impatience in a 1-3-1, and Mammoth smashed the Bombers for it.
Oh man, we're talking about that timer, and I feel like that timer's just ticked down a lot right now, as that was a big gold influx to their side. You can see that again, because it's Mammoth moving on to Wilder.
And look at this. Look at where their wings are, and they don't have eyes on Triple. So this is a numbers mismatch right now. Not only that, you can see that the Camille has bailed out of the side lane way earlier than what the Gnar has. So Fudge is here as well. It's a genuine 5v3 that the Bombers just had no right to take.
A huge loss out from, yeah, the burst damage of Vladimir Ezreal will just completely detonate a carry. I mean, actually going towards the Hex Drink and now Luch. But you think about the huge advantage he had, and now that he's just, he's almost fodder now for a lot of these members of Mammoth just to nuke, and he's not a long-range carry, right? He's not a Caitlyn, he's a skirmisher. He wants to be someone who's in mid to close range, and he's now on the receiving end of all of this damage here.
And now all of a sudden, because you're behind 2,500 gold, the snowballed item builds don't make sense. You know, that needlessly large rod probably needs to be a Morellonomicon because you need to be able to consistently fight Vladimir, not just blow him up with Ignite. Phase check out of Babip.
The route is good. It stops a lot of that aggression there from Mammoth, otherwise that Vladimir would have been going in. But still, the fact that Mammoth are just paying attention to this bottom jungle now.
And I think, you know, now Mimic's build as well, a little bit questionable because Gold's starting to go into Fudge's, you know, back pocket.
Number one, once again, Fudge turning around, actually jumps back onto Ryoma. He's inside the Shroud, though, and it's really just waiting when he's going to kill him.
And that was the thing, right? Fudge needed to get back out. As soon as he went in, that was a done deal there. The Shroud's just such a powerful tool against melee champions because you get to pick exactly when you fight.
Yeah.
Wait for all the cooldowns to run out. However, they are being cross-mapped here, and there should be, once again, 3 members of Mammoth picking up an objective.
Inner turret will go down here. So, kill for a tower, ultimately. Mammoth will be happy with it.
And King feeling a little bit frisky there, Paul.
Yeah. He's looking for it. Got the tracker projectile and the ultimate coming across. He's one arcane shift away from looking for this kill. Misses the Q, but will turn around, takes him down. And now he is very pushed into the space, and he unfortunately led Destiny with him to that. You were diving with me, my support. Now Babip will pop his ultimate, trying to get away from Wilder. Ooh, flash forwards. Mimic was looking for the stun against the wall. Didn't quite get it, and Triple was a very fast Vladimir, so we will be able to run away from this play.
Yeah, you need to be able to get out of there. I mean, that's a little bit overzealous. You could just... King saw the play in his head.
Yeah.
And he was like, Destiny, you're coming with me. And Destiny was like, I trust you, man. And then they were like, that's one to review on Monday morning.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even if the Q landed there and it was an instant kill on Rogue, he is way too far forward.
But I like it.
I mean, sure, yeah.
King has been one of those players. I always remember the Graves game. I think he was on Legacy at the time. He was just playing old school Graves, and he just dashed over the wall into the base and just started like 1v3ing people. And I think he got like a triple kill, died, but like Legacy won the game. And I was like, that is a player that will win you championships.
Yeah.
Like, he just every now and again will make a pop-off play. And I think that he has a consistency down to go with it. Very good weak side AD carry. But every now and again, you still have to remind people that, you know, they can't step up and contest you on waves like that.
Yeah, it didn't work out this time, unfortunately, but...
hey, he got the kill.
He did get the kill, yeah. You saw the kill in his head, and he did get it. The rest of the team, though, here from Bombers. Moving up to the mid lane. 2 minutes on Baron, 2 minutes on next Dragon, but obviously Baron going to be much more of import. Rangers is playing the map right now. Double control wards. Roma waiting in the brush. Triple moving to the top side. Maybe seeing another showdown between the 2 mid laners.
And this game's still so incredibly even. I feel like we've had so many back and forwards, but for the gold lead to be 1,400 at, you know, 30 minutes into the game is nothing.
Triple definitely smells out the Akali right there. He's low, but again, it's Vladimir. Meanwhile, finding Fudge right there will hit the ultimatum, flash to the wall, but Wilder wants him dead with the AD carry. That will be another pick onto the top laner.
And Wilder's so decisive. I mean, just able to generate another pick for his team. That was really well played from Ryoma as well to keep himself safe in that Shroud and be able to dodge out on so many skill shots. And that means that the last man into the rotation, which was Fudge, you know, falls down again, and this is going to be mid lane turret falling, and Bomber's regaining probably the gold lead.
And you're right. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. This is a very back and forth game, but it's not just both teams just hitting head to head. It's not just a 5v5. It's even because they're finding picks on both teams and actually able to force these objectives around it, and it's back and forth between the vision now. We've got, again, Baron in a minute, but we're going to have another skirmish in the mid lane. Vladimir getting caught out on this one, but King has a lot of damage in return. Yumi attached to him. In comes Babip, looking for this play as well. Triple will get the kill. 800 gold shut down there. But the laser comes across and finishes off the Vlad, but now Rogue trapped in place. His Babip is looking for blood. Ryoma into this mid lane play, and the whole party is here. Fudge, good route coming in from Rogue. Will plan him in place. Now Ryoma trying to get away, but this Ezreal with Yumi, very difficult to get away. Can Arcane shift the wall, and Ryoma has to go right, unfortunately, away from his base. And will get finished off by King. Rogue, at the same time, falls. And that is just a complete cluster. That's going to be 4 kills there for 1. Favor to Mammoth.
Yeah, it certainly is. And they got the Vladimir this time because he didn't have the ulti, remember. It was used in the top lane play. However, Everyone else just collapsing at the perfect time. That's going to be Dragon going down. 10 seconds left on Baron. That is a member staggered so far. Actually, 2 with Rogue. But they can't contest this Baron again. You know, it's going to be up to potentially Wilder to go in, try and ult Babip and then pick up a smite. But Babip with that ultimate, not going to really worry about something like that. So this should just be a free Baron.
I really just can't tell who's going to win the next trade. It will all just come off of these very scrappy skirmishes into a team fight, into 1v1, 2v2s. But down to half HP right now. Wilder trying to step up here. Mimic wants to lead the charge, but this is going to be a complete turnaround here by Mammoth. Jumping onto Mimic, won't even get the ultimate off. Wilder gets the pull, but in the backline, Luch disappears, and Wilder 1v4, nothing he can do, and now just safely turning back onto the Baron. Mammoth just win it all.
It must be miserable to play AD carry versus triple. As soon as he like sees someone, he just flashes on them, uses the ghost, and they disappear. Like, that was Luch just getting destroyed, and this is a man that has himself the more, so it's not like he isn't trying to itemize to live against the Vladimir. Just, yeah, so much damage coming out. That's going to be another Baron buff. Teleport coming in, 3 members dead. This could nearly be the final push.
I mean, that was 8 kills into a Baron for Mammoth. Huge advantage, big spikes, Rogue dead. Ryoma coming up shortly, but I don't think even, well, Ryoma's up, but the rest of his team coming up shortly. I don't think even him can defeat this big onslaught coming in from Mammoth. Now onto the Nexus turrets themselves. Ryoma, he's canning around the back, looking towards King, but this actually might just be a complete turnaround here. King just finishes off the carry, and Wilder respawning, immediately put back down, and no, he just can't even get into the fight. Mammoth, in one push, into Baron, into base, will finish off the game.
That was a great game of League of Legends. Back and forth, both teams trying really hard to play towards their win conditions. But it's the punish and the patience of Mammoth that continues to shine through. This is a team that I think sat down and looked at all their VODs collectively and said, what was the common theme? In 50-50 games, we pushed the tempo, we made mistakes, and we lost. How do we correct that? In 50-50 games, we're going to wait for items. We're going to wait for the enemy to start slipping up. We're going to put the pressure on other people, and we're going to punish. And that was a game where the Bombers were ahead, their side laners were both ahead. And their mid-trio tried to take a fight. The collapse was quicker from Mammoth, and they just closed the door on the game.
Yeah, and this is just the repeating storyline. You know, we see it every single game now from Mammoth, and it's just like, it feels like proactive patience is how I would say it. Because they're always looking for something, but they will absorb when they need to.
Their vision control is there. Like, they have the right tools available to generate the catch when it does come, but they're just allowing you to kind of fall prey to that, you know. They know that triple is scaling. You know, Ryoma is sitting there saying to his team, I can beat him in the side lane for the next item, but we have to be able to get something now off these players. So that's why he's fishing for more all-ins than what you normally would see from an Akali. And, you know, all Triple needed to do was win one of them. And then he's back in the game. You know, cleans up the mid lane team fight, even more fed. You know, Fudge got 2 kills in that as well, I think. You know, all of a sudden he can start split pushing against Mimic again, and the game just slowly course corrects itself. And there's none of that panic and kind of, you know, flustered play that we were seeing last split.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, right? Like, I feel like you see a lot of teams on the back front, and we're really reaching here to try and get a kill, look for a pick. You can see everyone just panning into a brush, hoping for the best, but you never really see any sign of fluster coming in from Mammoth. And I think that's the most impressive thing, that we've had so many comeback wins now. I say comeback, but it's almost planned, right? From Mammoth. So I don't even I would say that's the case anymore.
Yeah, I think, like, you know, 3,000 gold lead is still a pretty even game, and that's where that one got to. The kills bottom lane looks so promising for Bombers, and if there was going to be 2 members I'd shout out, it would certainly be, you know, Rogue as well as Luch down in the bottom lane. I think that's their best performance as a duo into a really great duo. Pick up a 2v2 kill is like nothing that you can understate, and then there's turnaround, the gank as well. So they certainly had an impressive performance, but, you know, in the mid game, it just looked like the miscommunication and kind of the macro was a little bit lost for the Bombers. And right now, it looks so watertight for the Mammoth lineup.
Yeah, it really is. Just watertight play, just continuously impressive out from Mammoth. For now, though, we're going to send it back over to the couch for a player interview.
Fudge, you can't be stopped.
I haven't been playing too well, but...
Well, you as the collective whole.
Yeah, Mammoth.
You obviously can be stopped.
Yeah, I can be stopped.
If I punched you hard enough,
my team is
up.
very good.
I feel like we're having 2 separate interviews right now. Your team is very good.
Yes.
You are doing very well. How are you feeling?
I was pretty nervous during the game.
Yep.
It felt pretty bad because I felt like I was playing bad. But team was like pretty happy-go-lucky, I guess.
Yeah.
About like playing, like making mistakes. So yeah, we like brought it back. Like we played team fights well and we won the game.
From a viewer's perspective, all 3 games tonight have been good back and forth. There's been
Yeah.
tension, and you could have gone either way for all 3 games. So it's, I mean, it must be hell for you while you're playing, but it's very enjoyable for us. Now, you came of age between the splits this year.
Yes.
You were with Mammoth Academy. You've come into Mammoth proper for the OPL. What did you learn through Mammoth Academy to bring into the OPL?
Well, most of it was just like knowing how to like give criticism well to teammates,
Right.
because you don't really want to. You want to give criticism, but you don't want to make it too harsh.
You don't want to judge.
Yeah, you don't want to judge too harshly, and so like that's the main thing I learned from like working with like OCS players, like Heavy Semis and Halo and all those Mammoth Academy guys.
That's a good point. And so do you feel like you're someone who can accurately assist teammates when it comes to giving that sort of like constructive feedback?
Yes, constructive feedback. I feel like our team in general is pretty good at giving constructive feedback.
Yep.
Like we don't take it too personally, but we also like know the boundaries. So that's like that works really well for us.
And so Mammoth have been pretty vocal both at the end of last split and the beginning of this one about the fact that you guys are an emotional team, and we saw last split that when the emotions get not so much negative, but sort of you're on a bit of a downward spiral. It's hard to get that under control. What is the team doing now to be able to keep that in check and not let it affect the gameplay?
Well, recently we've been working with like a sports psychologist. He's helped us a lot with like on game day performance, so that we're not in our own heads like during the game, and like helps me like for example in that game where I'm making mistakes, I can just like focus on the game really well. And like just in general with the team, we do a lot of like team building stuff. We like do like every week we go out, we have some fun, have some dinner. That's about it.
Just a good mental health space.
Yeah, just a good mental health space.
Beautiful, man. And how would you win the block?
Sorry, what did you say?
So we were talking before about like what would be your strategy to win the block. Do you know the block?
Yes, I know the block.
How would you win the block? Like what would your angle be? What would you do? You going for like a basic apartment that people can come into and make their own? You're going heavily stylized. Is there a fudge theme?
I think just like a classic, like not too decorated apartment is always good.
Yep.
Works for everyone.
Were you expecting to talk about renovations?
I'm definitely not.
All right, cool. Well,
but,
you did very well.
I mean, helps. I mean, it's fun.
Welcome to the OPL. All right, we'll be back right after this break. Congratulations, Fudge.
Bottom lane, once again, King under attack, and Wilder just charging towards him will find him. Quick detach there from Destiny to try and help him out, but Zany Carry's already dead. He needs to teleport out from Mimic, and this is pushing towards a Gnar. Low on rage though, Wilder, buying some time with the stopwatch, but the Bib and the Vladimir flashing forwards, looking for the tides of blood into the Sanguine pool. Backing away, taking tower shots. He will drop here. Wilder gonna fall on the backside, but in comes Ryoma looking for the cleanup now on the Akali. Perfect execution onto Fudge as well. 4 kills, looking for the 5th underneath the tower, ticking down for the Ignite. Fudge, last tick, and there it is. Here in the Mammoth camp, feeling pretty good about it. Wilder getting caught out, question mark, because here comes the rest of the team. King over the wall. Olaf popping the ultimate once again, turning on to this Skarner, but in comes Triple. Oh my god, Luke just disappears from the map. His support goes down as well, and Wilder just playing dodgeball right now, but he will not be able to dodge the tracking projectile from Destiny. Goes into a Baron for Mammoth. Huge advantage, big spikes, Rogue dead. Ryoma coming up shortly, but I don't think even, well, Ryoma's up, but the rest of his team coming up shortly. I don't think even him can defeat this big onslaught coming in from Mammoth. Now onto the Nexus turrets themselves. Ryoma is canning around the back, looking towards King, but this actually might just be a complete turnaround here. King just finishes off the carry, and Wilder respawning immediately put back down, and nah, he just can't even get into the fight. Mammoth in one push into Baron, into base, will finish off the game.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Forcing this lead even further is on the cards. This is a legacy going in for something though. Miro gets demounted.
Oh wow, the ult comes out by Guts. They're going to follow up on the turret here, but Miro's not taking much damage.
Oh.
There's Kled, he's following back up. There's the bear trap on a rope. He takes down Guts and Chaz. Is he going to get the 1v2? He's probably going to follow this one up. He still has his mount. He's caught out. There's some, backups coming down, but is not needed. And he's the water over the wall. He gets it. There's chips over his side. Are they going to burn it down fast enough? 1,000 health left. They do get it. Baron goes to Ulvan over the wall. Guts is dead. There's 4 left for a Legacy, and they're chasing away. Here comes the Kled ult. They're going to chase them down. Legacy getting wiped left and right here as Chippies has been doing tons of damage all game. They're caught. They're dead. They're wiped. And it looks like Ulvan here are going to pick up a win. Their second win of the split here this game.
At Macca's, our burgers are now hotter, juicier, and tastier, with onions added at the grill for more flavour, perfectly melted cheese, and softer buns. They're the best Macca's burgers ever.
Look, I'm really enjoying this evening's games because it always feels